Okay, I think we're gonna get started, guys, if you don't mind. We're just a couple minutes behind, but I think we'll stick to the schedule for now and just see how it goes. This is enough quorum for me. I think we've got pretty good representation here. I'm just gonna call out who's sitting in the room so people are aware. Up front over here, we've got people that operate substantial storage provider operations in Europe. We've got representation from France and the Netherlands. We've also got a team that's venture-backed that's working on SP side operations to ensure that people can do capacity provisioning and resource provisioning. So when they make deals on the Filecoin network, you know that things are going to go through. We've got the storage team who are here learning more about the ways in which we can integrate across the two projects. We've got leadership from the PL side on the engineering technical side, as well as general strategy and how we're investing in data onboarding. We've got a couple of protocol developers themselves and tool builders towards the back, people that work on the retrieval bot, that work on Singularity, Motion, Web3.storage. It's a good representation there. The actual Web3.storage leadership team is here as well. And then we've got other members of the data programs team, the team that I'm on, that works on tooling services and products, as well as operates programs like Phil Plus for generally facilitating data onboarding to the Filecoin network. So by now, you already know, my name's Deep. I'm here to kick off the track. I'll do my best to keep it short. You'll get tired of my voice pretty quickly, so I'll do my best to not make you listen to me too much. But I do want to give a little bit of an introduction so you know what to expect and what we'll be engaging on through the course of today and tomorrow. So when are things happening? Today from 10 to 3:30. We'll probably end a little bit early today. And then tomorrow from 10 to 12:30, we'll also probably end a little bit early tomorrow. I baked in a decent amount of buffer on both days just to make sure that if we're proceeding behind, we have enough to back into. This is really important for you to know because I'm expecting a lot of questions. I want you to feel comfortable interrupting, slowing people down, feeling like you want to dig deeper into a point. Plenty has been baked into the schedule to allow for this. People asked me to speak for 10, 15 minutes, and they were allocated 30 exactly for this reason. So please don't feel like you're holding the room back or holding the schedule back. Interrupt as you need. Make sure that you're getting from this what you came for. And so specifically, what I'm hoping we cover is we get to discuss improvements that are being made on the tooling and the programming side for data onboarding overall. We get on the same page about the gaps, on the priorities, and how, in general, we can help scale the business adoption of Filecoin-based services. And so whether you're coming here as somebody that works on a tool or service, somebody that operates an SP, somebody that builds software that enables demand on the Filecoin network, you're thinking about it, you may have just joined the Filecoin community or thinking about joining the Filecoin network in some capacity, all of the content, all of the slides that I've seen do a really good job bringing people up from the baseline. So from a zero sort of understanding to a solid baseline of what's actually happening. So hopefully this track is informative. But again, replug, please ask questions. This is the only way you'll actually get value out of being here physically. Otherwise, we could have just done this on Zoom. So let's make the most of the fact that we're here in person. Sounds good? I see 2 thumbs. More good. Good? Good. Thank you very much. So main goals for today that I'd like you to keep in mind. Number 1, you need to walk away with an understanding of at least some subset of tools and services that are being built in this particular problem space of data onboarding to the Filecoin network. 2, I want us to leave with a sense of alignment on the supported pathways for Filecoin data onboarding. And so this is a pretty broad prompt, but this has to do from everything with what are the access patterns we care to prioritize? What do we think when it comes to data preparation? What does that mean for IPLD? What does it mean for call files? What does it mean for compensation for search providers or different service providers in the network? What are the types of tools that we need that we don't have today? How are we solving for bringing Web 2 users to Web 3? Things like GDPR, things like privacy, and where are we today in the solution space? Where do we need to get to? And so specifically, if we can leave with a sense of conviction on the things we want to work towards as a group in the next 6 to 9 months, for whether it's protocol improvements or tool improvements, I think we'd be making good use of 8 to 10 hours together. Is that fair? Awesome. Thank you for the thumbs, Stephen. I appreciate it. So I'm going to borrow some slides from my much better partner in crime, Stefan. He presented some of these yesterday, so I'm taking a subset of them that I liked. Just to set the stage a little bit. So the first is we're operating off of a very robust data storage network from a capacity standpoint, right? We've got a ton of capacity available to us. It's well geo-distributed, tons of people competent running high-scale, well-set-up data centers that can take on data. Where we are today is that the amount of data being onboarded to the network is also upticking drastically. However, we're still not where we need to be. That's both a combination of whether or not we can find product market fit in different types of verticals and build the right tools and services for that, or from like a pure, legitimate use cases of Filecoin standpoint. I think we're much more interested as a group in going beyond just open data sets or archival use cases as well. Of course, archival use cases that are paid for and built purpose specific are extremely compelling, but we also want to go beyond that. And so a good measurement that we've been using, at least Stefan has pushed for, which I really like, is this measure of like how many people are participating in storage deal making on the Filecoin network. So this is not to say that we are only interested in storage on Filecoin, or to say that all we care about is measuring deals, but it is a good measure for the purposes of data onboarding. For what does this set of people look like? What does a partition pool look like? And there was a goal at some point in time to bring this number up. And this number did come up. We came up from like 13, 15, 17% up to where we are, which is above 40%, which is awesome. However, I would argue that we're still not at the point where we're crossing the chasm, as they say. And this is both for adoption overall, like large scale, for decentralized and distributed storage, but also from the standpoint of just like paid services being built on Filecoin. And so we're interested in getting to those enterprise workloads, the SaaS workloads, the different types of use cases that we can actually solve for in some capacity using Filecoin as our underlying substrate or our storage layer or whatever it could be, with the right set of abstractions, tools, and services built on top or leaning on it that makes sense to get to that point, to ensure that we're actually working towards something that has some impact, some meaning, some value to society. Because that's why we're here. Like most of us are here because we're motivated by that. And I don't have to guess that because I actually know that about many of you that are here. Thank you for being here. And I'm looking forward to working with you more to get to this. And so what does that actually turn into, right? So we pulled out these three sort of core problem areas that we want to dive deep into. First, mainstream market users don't really want to change their workflows today. So this is like Web2 users, as they stand in right now, just want to use their existing interfaces, and they want to integrate Filecoin as an option into where they are. And so there's a lot of emphasis on building the right integration point, whether that looks like an S3 connector, whether that's like a nice RESTful API that is a one-line code change from somebody using an existing storage solution. And so one of the projects we'll dive into is the REST API that's being developed. So Masi will be doing a talk on that shortly, so we can go into more depth with where that stands. The second is Filecoin data preparation itself is pretty complex. We're interested in seeing ways in which services can be built to better set up data for success on the outset, not just coming in. It's not so much about can this data be on Filecoin, it's much more about once it's on Filecoin, how will it be used? And that's what needs to inform the processes for data preparation, data transformation before they get put onto this network. We'll hear from Shinan. We'll also hear a little bit from the Web3 storage team about some of the things that they're doing here, which are very interesting in setting new standards for data handling and preparation as it hits the Filecoin network. And then there's deal making in general. There's a lot of storage providers in the network. You saw that slide, but awareness about all of them is not so high. There's a rotating cast of very active ones that do a very good job building their businesses, and then there's a set of very latent ones that we're very interested in activating. And so we're interested in building tools that help with market making and reduce the friction for that. And one of the tools specifically that our team's been working on is something called Spate that automates some of this data onboarding, just the part of deal making really, but like deal proposing effectively as a service where it helps identify SPs that make sense for the type of workload that you have and the needs that you have as a source of demand for storage, and abstract some of the complexity for identification of storage providers. Sound good so far? I know I'm speaking a little quick. Yeah, any questions? Cool, thank you, love it. So what are we gonna be doing today? A little deeper into what we're covering. Most of the sessions are defaulting to about 30 minutes. I'm expecting that most of the talks themselves will be about 15 minutes, which gives us 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A. That doesn't mean you wait for the speaker to end. So I would say the default in this room is if you have a question, you put your hand up and you interrupt, unless the speaker has explicitly told you that they would rather not be interrupted and would wait till the end. Sounds good? Speakers in the room? Great. So we're gonna kick off with Angelo talking about GDPR and compliance. Then we'll dig into the REST API, Singularity V2, the data preparation and onboarding process with UCANs and other interesting things that the Daghouse team has been exploring on Web3.storage. And then hopefully we'll get to hear from Alex North on the direct data onboarding FIP that he proposed. Break for lunch, 12:30 to 1:30 is lunch. We'll reconvene back here. Again, Angelo will open up with a more theoretical session on how we want to secure private data on Filecoin. Kara will do a session on KYSP, the way we talk about KYB, KYC. We are now looking at reputation systems and at-large credentialing systems to learn more about storage providers and what they can deliver in the network. Phil will do a talk on ways in which we can think about out-of-band compensation for services and storage on the Filecoin network. And then Peter, or as some of you may know him, Reba Sushi, will end out today's session with an overview on Spade. Sounds good? Great. And so what do I expect from you guys? Just bring your energy as much as you can. I know it's going to be a long day. Take breaks as you need them. Grab coffee. We're located a little further away from the rest of the group, which is nice because you'll get to stretch your legs a little bit as you walk back and forth. If people want an explicit break, like I said, we've got buffer. Call it out. We're here to have more of a discussion. So this needs to work for you. It doesn't just need to work for the speakers. The speakers could have delivered this talk on Zoom if we really needed it, right? And so they're here to hear from the audience and talk to the audience. And so make this work for you, because if it isn't working for you, then it's not actually working. Sounds good? Excellent. Thank you. All right. Tomorrow, we'll also have some talks. They will also be in this room. We're going to set up in a slightly different way, if I got this right. We'll have a U-shaped configuration to be a little bit more like discussion-oriented. The current setup is basically we're going to dive really deep into data preparation, car files, content addressing, IPLD, and ways in which we can think about Filecoin, as car files in and out, or just bytes in and out, and what the implications are for these things. So Adine from the IPFS Stewart's team I think he's on the Stewart's team. We'll be doing a talk on this, and then Masi will be talking about one of the projects that he's been exploring. And then we've got a 45-minute breakout buffer explicitly to dive deep into whatever we would like in that configuration, in that space. And so I'm really excited to have, instead of all of you seated over there, all of you seated up front here with me so that we can have productive conversation on some of these topics. Any questions on the schedule? Any concerns? Great. Okay, back to the goals. Learn about tools and services. Align on what the supported pathways are, and align on the gaps. Good? Tools, pathways, gaps. Don't forget. TPG. Bring your coffee, bring your questions, your feedback, your ideas. It'll only work if you're active. Thank you so much.